Back here with Jenny Jones. I have to keep cutting it off it because we get about 10, 12 minutes.
Oh, I see.
Okay, so I asked Natalie Bennett when I was interviewing in here one time, how can you get working class people to vote Green?
Oh, I think they do already. I think this is a complete fallacy that they don't. When I got elected in Southwark, it was on working class votes. I come from a working class family, a poor working class family, and I think that there's nothing to stop them voting Green. It's only perhaps knowing what we've got to offer.
But we've
Getting
also, to me, I also see as you've got this fierce, overwhelming right-wing media that wants to label you hippies, that wants to, like, I even see Michael Crick on the Channel 4 News when he was doing one of the by-elections, looking for like someone selling crystals in the market, asking whether she had moccasins or whether she wore moccasins. But
you see, there's something I very much like. I mean, I'm not saying that's quite the tradition I come from, but I definitely come from a lifestyle green tradition, and that's how I've gone through the Green Party. And I quite like that sort of, somebody called it the other day, the ancient soul of the Green Party, which is you care about your neighbours, you care about your street, you care about the natural environment. You know, it's a sort of, you know, hippie shit and that sort of thing, but actually it's rather nice, and it's a very kind sort of view of the world. That doesn't mean we're not ferocious when we have to be, or that we can't be incredibly robust, but it just means we do care a little bit more, and I think that's really healthy.
But they blame the green. They say, look, it's all your green energy requirements, you know, that's going to cost people more energy. It's your fault.
God, that's nuts, because actually, for example, if people invested more, when I say people, I mean people like the Mayor of London, invested more in solar energy, schools and the GLA estate, the Greater London Authority estate, they could all have solar power. That would actually reduce our bills. The payback on solar power at the moment is less than 8 years and going down all the time. Usually, green stuff actually saves us money in the long term.
So would you be interested, would you... 52 billion on HS2, investing that in 52 billion on solar panels?
We are, that sounds fantastic. I mean, obviously that's not quite how the economy works. But HS2 is a crazy scheme, you know. It's because they want it to be extra high speed, it means it can't go around corners very easily, which means it's got to go through all these sites of scientific interest and so on. I mean, a stupid scheme, stupid amounts of money, and is it even necessary?
And also, like the wind turbines, right? We're importing £8 billion worth of wind. We should be manufacturing those. We should be exporting those.
Of course. I mean, a lot of the what I would call intermediate technology and technology for energy-saving devices, a lot of it was designed here in Britain, and we haven't made the most of it.
I know on the Andrew Neil, he started off with a bit of a stereotype when he was interviewing Natalie, and then the whole citizens' income debacle. What do you think about what happened there?
The citizens' income is an absolutely brilliant scheme. We've just been looking at the figures again, and we think that the figure that he pulled out was the absolute top figure, and actually it would probably be something...
280 billion, wasn't it?
And the fact is, it's a brilliant scheme, and it's very, very difficult to convey it if you're not an economist. I'm not sure I could stand up and talk about it knowledgeably, but the fact is, that is in... Most political parties don't think long term. That particular scheme is in a document, a sort of a policy, a group of policies that we keep for the long term. It's not going to be in our, I don't think it's going to be in our manifesto, because that's not the sort of thing that we can make the change about so quickly. It's a long-term planning. It's a sort of direction of where we want to go. It's vision, really.
They want people on workfare, don't they? The corporations, like we was talking about. Why do people work for so little?
The workfare is absolutely appalling.
Why do we do it though? Why do people go out and work on a minimum wage? Why? What? I don't understand why.
What choices? What choices do people have? I mean, I think this is that life has got so much harder in the past decade, and so. And again, it was through a Labour government. They kicked off a lot of these schemes, and now a Tory government. It's almost embedded that anybody who isn't paid very much is sort of slightly shifty and doesn't really want to work. It's
about attacking people's rights, isn't it? About attacking people's working rights. You know, so public sector workers, no pay rise. You know, these 0-hour contracts.
Yeah.
That's part of like the whole shift into the private. When David Cameron gets up and says, "I've created 1 million new jobs," he's nicked them from the public sector.
Or their part-time, or their 0 hours contracts, which of course, you know, are bad for most people.
I mean, the government's policy on welfare, on benefits is shocking, isn't it? Taking away the Independent Living Fund.
It is. It is. You're sounding more green than I am. Perhaps you should...
What's it like being a baroness then?
Well, I'm loving it, I've got to say. And it's... I mean, one of the things that's really surprised me, I went in there and thought, well, I am a complete outsider. I don't have any... You don't get any sort of money for staff or anything like that, so I'm sort of blundering around on my own. I do pay somebody out of my allowance to help me. But people have been incredibly friendly. And you know the group that has been most supportive? It's the old-timer Tory women. And I thought they'd be real bitches to me. And they've been absolutely lovely. They've been like sisters.
But in the middle of all of that, you've got Lord Bell, Lord Hill, Lord Nash, Lord Green. You've got these people that are absolute despots. I mean, Lord Nash, £300,000 Tory party donor, £75 million contract, made a lord. He's the schools minister. He's just taken £1 million. He's the one with Pimlico School. How is having an unelected schools minister? How's that a democracy?
It's absolutely not. I mean, the Green Party policy on the House of Lords is that we would scrap it and we would bring in a fully elected chamber, and that's what I've said all the way through. I am driven to do that. I'm in politics because I want things to be fair, and it's absolutely not fair that we have a bunch of people who are not elected dictating, stuff on legislation. On the other hand, the legislation absolutely needs the Lords. So until we've got something better, we need this.
You've got Lord Green, he's a Mexican drug cartel money launderer, moved £7 billion. He was made a Lord from HSBC and then made a minister.
I can't justify that, but at the same time, there's people in there who've worked in the NHS for 40 years and people who've been teachers. There are in there some fantastic people.
Who's the leader of the House of Lords at the moment?
Baroness de Suze. Oh, no. The leader is... I can't remember her name.
Tina Stoll.
Yeah, that's right, yeah.
Baroness Stoll.
Yes.
So this Baroness Stoll, she's the one that stood up and said that about affordable housing, because she's involved in the housing. We just walked past some of the mayor's affordable housing. What do you think about this term, affordable housing? It's a scam, isn't it?
Well, what Boris has done is change the term, because it used to be a certain percentage of somebody's salary, but now it's not. He's changed it. And quite honestly, you can't trust Tories when they talk about affordable anything, can you? I mean, that's
I don't think it's the Tories. I think it's the Labour as well, because they're talking about properties that 80% of the market rate. Look at the Haygate estate. Knocked down 1,200 council homes, knocked down, sold for 50 million. Now it's going to be like a near on £2 billion for an Australian private, land lease?
It's absolutely disgusting. This is a Labour council that did it, as you say, and it's been it's a form of social cleansing, because they've actually driven people out. A lot of people were promised houses, and they haven't had them in the area, because then you're breaking up communities and so on. And also, of course, some people have been bought out for ridiculous, tiny amounts of money, when it's obviously a flat is going to go for many hundreds of thousands more. Can I just go back to the House of Lords, though? I'm not defending the House of Lords in any sense at all, but the fact is the Commons isn't capable. It doesn't have the people to scrutinise legislation, and stuff comes to the Lords and it is improved. I mean, it might only be improved a tiny amount, but really it is improved. And for example, a lot of the stuff recently on the Snoopers Charter and...
Data retention bill went through like that. It was like a flash, and it went through in an hour.
But for example, in December, on the 9th of December, the House of Lords actually defeated the government on 3 issues. I mean, it then goes back to the Commons, and of course they can just send it back unamended. They don't have to pay any attention at all. So
but he's full up with party donors. He's full up with people from businesses. It's almost like having it's bought, isn't it? Because having a title, because you're part of the business, being a lord, being a baroness, is part of like the social standing, isn't it? It's part. Look at the hats and the coats.
They only happen once or twice a year.
But this affordable housing thing, like I went over to see the E15 mums, we just walked past the development. Mount Pleasant, right, sold off Royal Mail. Boris Johnson signed it off. £2,400 a month for a 3-bedroom, and calls it under the affordable housing.
I know, he's a crap mayor. He's absolutely crap. I mean, the thing about housing in London, though, you have to remember that there is huge pressure for homes. But of course, so much is being sold off abroad. That's the really big problem, and it's been sold off so that they
But
can
she's
lease it
involved
out.
in that. You know, the head of the leader of the House of Lords,
Stoll.
Tina Stoll. She's involved it with the overseas people coming and buying up. You know, massive. I think didn't they just sell Canary Wharf as well for a couple of billion?
I don't know.
London Stock Exchange has been sold. But the whole thing about it is you've got councils, right? There's a council recently, I think it's Merton, that completely divested of all its council stock, handed it over to housing associations, which are great. But like, I mean,
I'd almost rather that, though. I'd rather it went to housing associations and then it was sold off. I mean, the right to buy has been a disaster because councils haven't been able to build enough social housing, and it is a real problem. People are getting pushed out.
But where are the cleaners? Where are the cleaners going to work? Where are the people that work in
sure.
super?
And
Where are they going to live?
Yeah. No, I agree completely.
We need not-for-profit housing.
There's another thing as well, and that is that we're losing industrial land. And in fact, the Mayor of London's London Plan actually suggests that manufacturing is going to come to an end by 2060 or something like that here in London. That's plainly ridiculous because people have got to work, and plumbers and brewers and so on, they need somewhere to live. And in fact, industrial land is being sold off as well. You've got this constant tussle between people needing houses and also people needing somewhere to work.
Yeah, I've got a million more